What did I say? With that coach incident James had caused, there was bound to be repercussions on the horizon. And as I said before, the actions James took after being told once by Sir Topham Hatt was not the right choice. And now he's paying for it. Feeling sorry for himself, Sir Topham Hatt visits James for a check-in.
I see you are sorry, James, he said. I hope now that you will be a better engine. You have given me a lot of trouble. I'm very sorry, sir, said James. I will try hard to behave. That's a good engine, said the Fat Controller.
There we go. Proof once again that Top Hat is willing to give his engines another chance. That really takes patience. If your railway is being laughed at by the public, that's not a good thing, and yet he's still that forgiving. The Hat knows. Looking forward to his new assignment, Thomas brings over his trucks. Of course, with a wrench ready to throw in James's mojo.
Here are your trucks, James, said Thomas. Have you got some bootlaces ready? And he ran off, laughing.
Really, Thomas? Get the hell out of here. Don't you have a branch line to run, Mr. Very Important? I get that Thomas is only being his teasing self, but that's not needed. James was doing just fine until your six-wheel behind came into the frame. With James now redder than usual, he couples up to his freight train and starts going. But the rather ho-hum trucks weren't about to go anywhere, like they've usually been in the last few times they've been featured. Thus James moved, with a lot of lag on his tail.
Come along, he puffed. We won't, screamed the trucks. But James didn't care, and he pulled the screeching trucks sternly out of the station.
Again, the most restrained trucks in their behavior. Many, as we know, would want to fly like the wind, not move as slow as molasses. What's with these milk crates on wheels? Rounding a turn, it was time to make it over Gordon's Hill. This time, James and his driver did it the right way, and that was accelerating to make it to the top. Little did James know, one of the couplings broke and half of his train coasted back to the bottom. Luckily, no one or engine was in the way when they came down. Perturbed at the situation, James came back and rehitched himself to the end of his train.
That's why it was easy, said James, as he backed the other trucks carefully down. What silly things trucks are. Shall I help you, James? Called Edward. No, thank you, answered James. I'll pull them myself.
Edward, always the caring one. And James's reply was considerate, even though he's not having the greatest day. Why, oh why, doesn't this view exist in real life? I'm sorry, it's just too nice looking. At last, James reached the top and came down the other side with no problems. Feeling very pleased with himself after finishing the job, Edward rolled by to see how things were going. But he wasn't the only one. Mr. Top Hat came along as well. Concerned he might be in for another reaming, James wasn't sure what to do or say.
The Fat Controller was smiling. I was in Edward's train and I saw everything, he said. You've made the most troublesome trucks on the line behave. After that, you deserve to keep your red coat.
You lucky engine, you. This episode hits the middle of the road for me. For a story, I like the fact that James was able to redeem himself to his controller. But I'd say he really had a 50-50 shot at doing it. With Thomas being his pestering little self, this basically set James's mood for the rest of the day. And at first, it didn't look like it was going to have the greatest end result. Thomas got James mad, so in the end, James could have ended up beating the crap out of his trucks, causing more problems for Sir Topham Hatt. Or at least he could have seen it that way. Since, after all, he did take that steam shower overly critical. I also get that James was dealing with a different set of rolling stock. Unlike coaches, the trucks do need a good spanking in order to behave. But like I said, these trucks didn't even want to move to begin with. Aren't the worst trucks normally the ones throwing engines off the rails? You know, like the ones that got James pushed off? Either way, though, the fact that James was able to regain his dominance over the trucks was an important hurdle for him to make, and he did it. When it comes to facial expressions, seeing James's frown is unbelievable. He has just about as many wrinkles as does Gordon's. I also like when that James was sad, the film crew was able to sneak a tear on his face. That adds emotion as well. The music reuses the same memorable theme for James, and who can knock that? We also have some new scenery in the mix. The shot with the camera hidden behind the trees is a fresh look. And yes, I've said it already, but how can you not love the view at Gordon's Hill? I also wanted to point out the ending scene where James sees Sir Topham Hatt. The siding he's in is the same one where Edward went to when he helped out Gordon and got a new coat of paint. It was also the siding where Thomas came down with his trucks and ended up being moved to the shunting yard, which ended up indirectly leading to him acquiring his new branch line. And now we have James being told he can keep his red coat and Edward's right next to him. We just came full circle, people. I consider that the good luck siding. It's not one of my favorite episodes, but I like that the execution brought us back to this pivotal place. Next episode is James and the Express. Thanks for watching.